4 o'clock, ABC 10 News at 5 starts right now.
From a police officer to grocery store workers to shoppers, those are just some of the people gunned down in yesterday's shooting spree. The tributes pouring in and the urgent calls being made to tighten gun laws. In just a matter of days, unaccompanied children along the southern border will be temporarily housed at the San Diego Convention Center. What we know about the care they'll receive when they arrive.
And in a story that is positively San Diego, you're going to meet the local man who is using his artistic talent to clean up graffiti around La Jolla.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
My son gave his life to save those people.
A mother's voice choking with emotion after learning her son, a police officer, was among 10 people killed in yesterday's shooting at a Colorado supermarket. Good evening, I'm Lindsay Pena.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Tonight, tributes are pouring in for the victims while charges have been filed against the 21-year-old man accused of carrying out the massacre. The shooting is also renewing a push for gun control measures. We'll have more on that in just a moment. But first, we begin with ABC's Marcia Gonzalez, who is in Boulder, Colorado tonight.
Today, the magnitude of the loss here in Boulder setting in. 10 people shot and killed at this grocery store. The police chief's voice quivering as she read each name.
Suzanne Fountain, 59. Terry Leiker, 51.
Among those killed, Ricky Olds, a 25-year-old manager at the King Soopers her family describes as strong, independent, and bubbly. And 51-year-old Boulder police officer Eric Talley, a father of 7.
He lost his life in the line of duty. He was heroically trying to save others.
The 51-year-old was the first to respond to the urgent calls coming from this store as the chaos unfolded around 2:40 yesterday afternoon.
It looks like we have an active shooter.
Police now say that shooter was 21-year-old Ahmad Alaliwi Alisa, seen here bleeding from a gunshot wound to his leg and being taken into custody.
He has been charged with 10 counts of murder in the first degree.
President Joe Biden ordering flags lowered to half staff for the second time in just a week and urging the Senate to pass gun control legislation.
Another American city has been scarred by gun violence and the resulting trauma. We can save lives, increasing the background checks so that they're supposed to occur, and eliminating assault weapons and the size of magazines.
And we're told the accused gunman just bought an AR-style gun last week. He is being transferred from a hospital to the county jail today, and police are still giving no indication of a possible motive, saying it's still too early in the investigation. Marcia Gonzalez, ABC News, Boulder, Colorado.
I don't need to wait another minute, let alone an hour, to take common sense steps that will save the lives in the future.
More from President Biden and his push for Congress to pass these gun control laws, including closing background check loopholes and banning assault weapons. But in a closely divided Congress, Republican opposition makes the odds of passage slim on a bill like that. Still, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is promising to try.
I've already committed to bringing universal background checks legislation to the floor of the Senate. The Senate Judiciary Committee under Chairman Durbin held a hearing to examine several common sense proposals to reduce gun violence this morning.
Today, Republican Senator Ted Cruz accused Democrats of using the shootings in Atlanta and Boulder as an excuse to try to take guns away from law-abiding citizens. California is considering a plan to try to force gun makers to start microstamping. In 2007, the state legislature passed a bill requiring each bullet casing on a new model of handgun to have identifiers. The gun makers have gotten around the law by simply not introducing any new models in the state since then. The new law would force microstamping for all guns sold to law enforcement. The hope is that gun makers would start microstamping because they don't want to lose the law enforcement business. Opponents say microstamping technology is too unreliable to be effective and too easy for criminals to get around. And you can follow any new developments surrounding the battle over gun control and in the shooting in Colorado by downloading our free mobile app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News.
New information is emerging about plans to use the San Diego Convention Center as a shelter for unaccompanied migrant children who are seeking asylum. Thousands of minors are currently in the custody of Customs and Border Protection. ABC 10 News reporter John Horn explains why things are unfolding rapidly.
Again, it's moving very fast.
County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher's phone rang Saturday morning. It was Federal Health and Human Services. They needed a place for some of the 15,000 unaccompanied migrant children apprehended at the U.S.-Mexico border claiming asylum, currently in crowded Customs and Border Protection facilities.
In some ways disheartened to see some of the conditions that these children are in. These children who have a legal claim to be here.
And now, in a matter of days, a number of those children could move to the convention center, currently winding down its days as a homeless shelter amid the pandemic. They'd stay 30 to 35 days before being reunited with family in the U.S. or with a sponsor.
Be able to get them in an environment where they're safe, where they're cared for, where they're fed, where they're educated, while they're connected with their families or with their sponsors. This is preferable than to what has been happening in recent years.
The children have come up from Central America seeking asylum with the hopes that President Biden's policies and the fact that they're alone would allow them a better chance to be allowed entry.
They have been through horrendous experiences, and so I'm grateful to our communities.
But Congressman Darrell Issa, a Republican, blamed the Biden administration for the crisis. He said instead of trying to find the next convention center, it should focus on a long-term solution. He says Biden's policies are only making this worse. John Horn, ABC 10 News.
The federal government will be funding the shelter operation at the convention center. It's expected to operate through July, when conventions are scheduled to resume.
Now to the latest on coronavirus in our county. 243 new cases were reported today. That brings our total to more than 268,000. There were also 4 new deaths announced today, bringing that total to just under 3,500. And a new COVID-19 vaccination site is now open at San Diego State. Viejas Arena is one of several vaccine sites around the county. Our ABC 10 News reporter Steve Smith shows us how things went on day one.
The Aztecs championship banners now hang above what Supervisor Nathan Fletcher calls a commitment to protecting our neighbors.
It will showcase our community coming together to administer vaccines in an equitable way and will help pave the pathway for our recovery.
As today, Viejas Arena opened its doors for the first time as a vaccination site, with one major goal, that is reaching residents living in underserved areas of San Diego, especially refugee communities.
Having a vaccine site in such close proximity to the community is something that we're so excited about, so that our community can stay healthy and safe and get vaccinated.
Now, there are 18 vaccination tables spread across the arena floor, but the appointments are also available to anybody who was eligible.
Like a few days ago, I tried to get an appointment. I couldn't get any nearby. So I guess when this app opens, then I get it, so it's good.
Seems like just a reasonable location. I think we just picked whatever showed up on the list.
But 10% of the appointments are set aside for Project SAVE, which is meant for high-risk people living in vulnerable communities.
This has been a successful program engaging with community-based organizations to reach those hardest to hit communities and ensure they have direct access into the system.
Viejas Arena will be open for vaccinations Tuesdays through Saturdays. They'll start with 200 appointments a day, with a goal of ramping up to 1,500 as more vaccinations become available.
It is a big day for me, yeah. So I'm very happy that I could get the appointment.
I'm Steve Smith, ABC 10 News.
More and more people getting happier every day. Earlier this month, Governor Newsom said that California will set aside 40% of all vaccine doses for the state's most vulnerable neighborhoods, a plan that would benefit nearly 8 million people. Starting tomorrow, there will be a new vaccination site as well at the Mexican consulate in Little Italy. It will be run by the consulate in partnership with the county. Mexico's Consul General says it's important to provide the Latino community with a safe place where people can be vaccinated without having to worry about immigration status. Like the other sites, that vaccine is free. Appointments, though, are required as well. And the safety board overseeing the AstraZeneca vaccine trial is raising some new questions about its data. Yesterday, the company released preliminary results that show their vaccine is 79% effective in preventing symptoms. However, the safety board says it's concerned that some outdated information may have been used in those results. The White House says the vaccine won't be given the emergency authorization until it's proven safe and effective.
And the reason we have an FDA process is exactly so that we don't have to wonder about data. We don't have to take a company's word for it. With all respect to the companies, we urge obviously companies to issue the most current data that they have. We expect and hope that will happen here.
AstraZeneca says it plans to release its primary results here in the next 2 days.
There are new developments in the murder of a 17-year-old boy who was gunned down at a Chula Vista park. Police have arrested 2 teenagers while they continue to look for a third suspect. As ABC 10 News reporter Rena Nakano explains, the teen's arrest comes 2 weeks after the deadly shooting.
Since the evening of March 11th, Chula Vista police has been searching for answers. Who shot and killed a 17-year-old boy at Sunset View Park in the family-friendly area of East Lake Greens?
Investigators have been working this investigation nonstop.
Tuesday morning, the department announced the arrest of a 16-year-old boy and 18-year-old Larry Bradford. They were arrested in a Spring Valley home. Investigators believe Bradford assisted in the shooting and acted as a getaway driver, and the 16-year-old was one of 2 shooters. Police are now asking the public to help them find 22-year-old Deontay Martinez.
We believe there's a second shooter, and this individual is still outstanding. He is somewhere, we believe, in the San Diego County area.
Investigators believe the victim and suspects all knew each other and met up at the park, but for some reason they got into a fight, which escalated into the shooting.
None of them appear to have residence or a nexus to Chula Vista, so it's kind of unclear why they were at this park.
East Lake residents were surprised as this was the second shooting at the park in a week. Many are now asking the city for a police substation in the area. In response, Deputy Mayor John McCann will be hosting a public safety meeting on Zoom next Tuesday, saying, quote, "The community of East Lake is one of the most secure neighborhoods in the city. We need to work together to keep it that way. I believe by bringing people together, we can make the issues at Sunset View Park just isolated incidents." In the meantime, the department has pledged to increase patrols. Rena Nakano, ABC 10 News.
The driver charged with killing 3 homeless men pleaded not guilty today. 71-year-old Craig Voss is being charged with vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated. Last week, Voss was arrested while driving onto the sidewalk near San Diego City College, where dozens were sleeping at the time. The crash killed Rodney Diffendale, Randy Ferris, and Walter Jones, ranging in age from 40s to 60s. If convicted, Voss faces 20 years in prison.
Well, the commanding officer of the Marine unit that lost 8 Marines and 1 sailor during a training accident last year has been fired. Our ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell explains why this could be just the beginning of a number of changes made following this incident.
Colonel Christopher Bronzy was the commanding officer of the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit when 8 Marines and a sailor were killed during a routine training accident in the summer of 2020. The service members were in their amphibious assault vehicle when it sank off the coast of San Clemente Island in what's being considered the deadliest AAV accident in Marine Corps history. Tuesday, the U.S. Marine Corps released a statement saying Colonel Bronzy has been relieved of duty. This is the second official that's connected to this incident that has been fired. Former ABC 10 News military reporter Bob Lawrence breaks down what may have contributed to this decision.
There's always an examination and investigation into what happened. What they found in this particular investigation was, quote, a substantial amount of information and data to relieve the lieutenant colonel of his command because, A, they, quote, lost confidence in his ability to command. That's not unusual.
The families of the victims have been waiting for the final report, which hasn't been released. One of those killed was Lance Corporal Sweetwood, a Marine who grew up in San Diego and enlisted in the Marine Corps right out of high school. He was just hours away from celebrating his 19th birthday when he was killed. Lawrence says the results from this report may also change the use of this specific type of AAV.
We want to be transparent about what it is they found. This is a new process. To introduce a new piece of equipment to the Marine Corps means training. People have used to it. It may be different than what they're operating with. So yes, this is a process to maybe replace the AAV, but they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.